Coming at you live, covering all things professional wrestling. A show by members of the Busted Open Nation. Welcome to the Nation's Corner. Here are your hosts, the Nation's Corner crew.
Hey, what's up, pro wrestling fans? Welcome to the Nation's Corner. I am Front Row, joined this week, as always, by Debhausen, the great and powerful, Tony Justice, greatest truck driver of all time, and John in South Jersey, who is, in fact, in South Jersey. What's up, guys?
Hey, that's cool. Yeah, South Jersey. And it's in his name. I just now got that. Wow.
Oh, my God.
It's anatomically and geographically correct.
Yeah. What's going on, everyone?
Hey, first of all, shout
John
out to Hijacker Mike for that amazing intro. We've had it for a few weeks now, but I'm loving the new intro. Came on awesome, as did the outro.
Steven's voiceover.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed about it, I just noticed it just now. The end where it shows Thunder beating up Dave, it's sped up. I just now noticed that. That's cool.
Did you think that was real time? Or
I was there live. I was there live for that.
Listen. We know you're a little technologically overwhelmed with like internet from this century and stuff down there in Texas. And, I thought you all lost your minds when you had flush toilets come in, but wow, this is something new and exciting for you. So,
Oh my God! All right,
well,
wrestling.
All right.
Yes,
before we get started, I also want to give a shout out. We had it's always fun to go to indie shows, and my father-in-law and I went to a local company here, XWW, and they had an outdoor show. It was really cool. It was a free show. It was in a beer garden. I'll show you a quick picture. There's a lot of people.
Nice.
Neat setting. And we get a chance to catch up with our friends, Danny Moe and Facade, who wrestled.
Hey, we know them.
Danny was in the main event. Yep, Danny was in the main event defending her women's title, and Facade was in a triple threat. It was a fun show. But, man, it's just another example of, like, go support indie wrestling because those people were working their asses off. And it was just a super, super fun night.
Awesome.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Danny Moe and Facade are everywhere. They're going to be at the next PPW show here in my hometown, Slatington. I was actually at the location. It's at the Slatington Farmers Market. I was there at that location with my parents last weekend. And I was, talking to the bartender and he said, oh yeah, people love the wrestling shows here. And I was like, oh yeah, and I know that person and I know that person and I know that person.
Yeah. We got to watch WrestleMania 40 with Danny Moe and Facade.
Yes.
We love those guys. We love
definitely to piggyback off of what you said, support indie wrestling because especially in a small town area, the business it brings to a small town is awesome. Like I'm from the small town Slatington / Walnutport, and there's just not much small business in this little town. There's not much of anything. And since they built the Slatington Farmers Market, and there's like an antique mall attached to it in the back, they have, some little eateries, like a little barbecue place, like a little sub shop. And my mom has said specifically that the wrestling shows and they have like a pro cornhole league that comes there. She said that has brought so much business to our little town. So that's awesome.
Shove it up your cornhole.
Yep. and not to.
I call it beanbag, but everybody else calls it cornhole.
Not saying that
other arguments.
This never happens, but I don't know how long have I been telling you that indie wrestling is the wrestling to go see and watch, and how much fun it is, and affordable, and how interactive. And I don't know. I've only been saying for years.
4 years.
Yeah.
Indie wrestling is still the best bang for your buck entertainment, period. And if you're not, if you consider, it's only indie wrestling and oh, it's not that great. I mean, that's your opinion. You're wrong completely, but it's your opinion. Go out, see some indie shows, see the talent. The talent you see on TV now started somewhere, and that somewhere was the indies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I could go on for an hour myself of how many people.
Oh, we
I've
know.
seen.
Yeah.
We know.
We know. Yeah. Yeah. And I was saying to the bartender there, you know, a lot of indie shows, you know, it's a mix of, you know, really young people who are just getting started and just learning, you know, some seasoned people like Danny Mo and Facade who are kind of on the come up and really kind of on the cusp of the next level. And you know, then you know, every show has one or two people that have been at WWE, have, you know, been at AEW, and now they're back in the indies. So it's a really good mix of experienced people with the newbies, you know, older, younger. It's just fun.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and people like, you know, like you just mentioned, like Danny Mo, a few years ago was on Raw in a match against Asuka. You know, Facade more recently was on the receiving end of an RKO. You know, still recovering. I'm told.
Yes, yes. I saw him.
Yeah.
I saw them both live a few weeks ago over here. They were at the Battleground Icon show in Philadelphia, and unfortunately, Facade is still feeling the effects, wearing a neck brace. Neon painted and graffitied, of course, but still wearing a neck brace. You know, he's still feeling the effects. He said, but
supporting. And speaking of which, so on our way to the show, we did. So I live in Charlotte, right? And Bully had mentioned on the show that people in the South needed to get to Bojangles to get the Collector's Cup. I looked on the map, and we had, in a 13-mile range, we had 27 Bojangles locations. So we did get a chance to stop by and get the new Dudley Boys. I got a
Nice.
there. I know
Nice.
Deb's hers. Nice.
Oh, another one. Hell yeah.
Yeah, Deb, let's hold them up.
The
The Brothers of Destruction.
One.
Nice.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah, that'll be our new clip.
Yes.
Have our social media team put that out.
Yes.
yes.
We'll fix
I'll
it.
get right on it.
We'll fix
So
it.
John Bay says I had all the Dudley Boys. So when we went there, they only had the Brothers of Destruction out front. And I said to the nice lady, would you mind taking a look in the back? And she said, sure. So she went back and she says, yeah, we have all of them in boxes. So if you go to a location, they don't have it out front, ask them, they'll go look in the back and maybe they'll have some for you if you're looking for the specific Dudley Boys one. So
my location had all four of them. They had them displayed right at the counter there. And she asked us which one she wanted. And it's really funny because so Seth was wearing his Busted Open Allentown chapter shirt. And when we went and we walked up to the counter, very, very nice woman, super bubbly. And she was, you know, she asked us what we wanted. And he kind of just pointed and said, you know, I want the WWE promotion thing. And she goes, I knew it because of your shirt. I knew you were here for that.
Nice. Hell yeah.
Yeah. It was great.
Yeah. Speaking of display items at restaurants and gas stations and stuff, there's a gas station down at the end of my road that has the Macho Man Slim Jim display. And every time I go in there, I try to sweet talk my way into getting it. And everyone is aware of it. And everyone there is like, no, you don't. You're like the 10th person to ask us about that. And I'm like, well, I'm the most important one. So there you go. So I don't think I'm going to get it, but I'm going to keep trying.
Like I'm Tony Justice.
Yeah.
Look at you. Talk your way.
You know who I am.
Oh my goodness! Look at RJ. The closest Bojangles is 312 miles.
Yeah, I'm very lucky because there's one location and it's 30 minutes away from me. It's literally 20 minutes from my work, just continuing down the same road.
I just have a quick comment on that, Deb. I really think this is unfair that you're hogging not only the closest Bojangles to me, but also the closest Sheets. And that's an hour and a half. And I really don't think that's fair that they're within like 10 minutes of you.
Come on down.
It's not fair.
I thought you guys lived in a civilized society up there. I guess I was wrong.
It'd be rough out here.
Well,
It'd be rough out here sometimes. You know,
yeah.
believe it
Yeah,
or not,
that's
you
true,
don't
you
always
know.
want a cheesesteak. So
Okay, RA wins. The closest to him is 5 hours away. Oh my goodness.
that's like
Jesus.
another. That's
Ooh.
got to be like another state.
Oof.
If I
Ooh, and
extend the range,
RJ, that is a whole other conversation. We can go on and on and on about. but we
Yeah.
won't.
yeah, Wawa's better, but we can move on.
Yeah,
We have
you're
other
wrong.
conversations.
I mean, it's your opinion. You're wrong, but anyway, it's your opinion.
We should probably talk
Anyway,
something about
okay.
wrestling.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's what
before
we're
we
here for.
before we go on and talk about wrestling, just want to help promote tomorrow. Debuting at about this time, 7:00, is the exclusive interview that John and I did with the King of Cream, Stan Styles, talking about his next intergender banana. I keep saying banana. Bonanza.
You might give him an idea for that.
Why have you got bananas on the
Nope.
brain?
Intergender bonanza
Yes, and
coming
actually,
up on August 22nd.
just to piggyback on Deb's quick comment, it is Deb's debut appearance on Nation's Corner on Location. So it's the first ever and the first ever. It was very cool.
Nice.
Tune in tomorrow, 7:00 on our YouTube channel, and you will see that interview. It was a very, very fun interview, and time
fun.
flew by.
It did. It did. All right, let's talk some RISSLI wrestling.
That's wrestling.
wrestling. All right, so first topic I want to throw at you guys is something they've been talking about on the show on Busted Open, and that's the Drew McIntyre and Jack Perry picture, which was taken down. So we've all heard about it, we all saw it, and I just want to get your opinions on a couple of things. So first of all, when you see something like that go up, like my brain goes, "Oh, he's gonna get in trouble." Like, probably shouldn't have posted that. And then my brain also says, "Okay, don't be an idiot. He probably got some kind of clearance or some sort of like, okay, this is what's gonna happen." But then you start to look at some of the people who quote tweeted it, and I think maybe that's why it got taken down. People like Colt Cabana commented on it and was like, it kind of got out of hand for like the short period of time that it was up, and I wonder if it had the desired effect, and then maybe a little bit more. So, the topic for today is like, how real is too real? When is real too real? And they had a big, really, really good conversation about this on the show on Friday with Thunder and Nick. It was really, really in deep the conversation. So, Deb, I want to start with you. Like, I know you tend to be more of like I want to sit back as a fan and I want to just enjoy the thing. Like, how do you feel about like when stuff gets super real like this?
So first of all, I saw that post immediately when it was posted because I just happened to be on Twitter at that moment and just happened coincidentally to refresh my feed, and that was the first post that was at the top of my feed, and it said like posted 33 seconds ago. So I saw it immediately. And so you had said your gut reaction was like, oh no, he's probably going to get in trouble. My fan brain, my gut reaction was, oh shit, I can't believe he said that. Like I was not thinking about, oh, he probably got in trouble. Oh, they had to probably okay it before he posted it. Like I was fully like, oh my God, that is amazing. Yes, troll of the year, as Mongrovian said. Just absolutely, it popped me immediately. It popped me. I was like, that is hilarious. And I didn't even see all the other quote tweets and stuff that happened afterward. I clicked on the post. I think I retweeted it, and then I closed Twitter out. So I didn't know until Friday morning that it had even been taken down. But yeah, my fan brain was just like, oh my God, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
and
so the post
go
go
ahead.
No, just to add to that, the post says cry us a river, and then Colt Cabana quote tweets that and says elite pick. And you're like, okay, so Colt Cabana, we know that the issues that he had with CM Punk. Now we've got 3 guys in the conversation who are enemies, or one of them's a coworker, 2 are enemies. Like, we know at least 2 of them had like real life courtroom, like police were involved shit, right? So I to your point, my brain was like, oh my God, what's going to happen now?
And I didn't really even like, I didn't think of it as that like real aspect of it, other than the Punk connection. Like, oh man, he's posting a picture with Jack Perry, and obviously everybody knows what happened there. But I don't really have a problem with it. I mean, I think it got taken down. I don't have a problem with it being taken down. I'm not like upset that it was taken down. It is what it is. I thought it was very interesting that Nick said on Busted Open on Friday that, sometimes in the past, in order to kind of further his own storyline, not just relying on the machine to help his storyline. He point blank said, I've posted things in the past just as a like, I'm gonna put this out there and then I'm gonna delete it, and but it was out there, people saw it.
Yeah.
Okay, so my question, so I gotta just ask John, because John's one of the people in the Nation's Corner crew has done some of the stuff behind the scenes, right? Like we've had some of those conversations with wrestlers where stuff gets posted maybe with or without permission, and then you either have an uncomfortable conversation or hey, that was great, it had the desired effect. So when something like this gets posted and then taken down, do you look at that and think, well, that timing was intentional, or was the timing of when it got taken down maybe because it went too far, or what was your thinking as that was all happening in real time?
Right. I think it honestly comes down to to me anyway, is a context issue. Where and how and why. All right. Granted, you have two people involved in this particular one, Drew and Jack Perry. The common thing being CM Punk. CM Punk, no matter what, in any organization, in any company, at any time, is a lightning rod for social media interaction, just because he himself has been very, very active troll at times when it comes to social media. But again, going back to the previous new kayfabe and when conversations we've had in the past, this is just another aspect of it. In this day and age, in this modern age we live in now, if you're thinking that these people don't know each other, don't interact with each other, just because one works for one company and one works for the other, let me give you a little news flash. I don't want to pull the curtain too far back for people here, but guess what? They've met. They know each other. Okay?
I don't believe you.
Oh, well, again, you know my thought about opinions, but so it's one of those. I would look at it from a behind the scenes standpoint. I would look at it one of two ways. Is it harmful? Is it harmful to the people involved? Is it harmful to the company or companies in this case? And in that aspect, no. I don't think any of that was, other than to get the IWC all fired up, screaming and hollering back and forth at each other, which is what they do all day anyway. And then also, who had the idea? Because that's the real person being the troll here. Was this a Drew idea? Was this a Jack Perry idea? Both of them obviously very internet and social media savvy, especially Drew as of late. And again, it's just another little wrinkles that you don't understand. We're all invested in the story of Drew McIntyre and CM Punk right now, especially leading in SummerSlam and their match coming up. So everybody's hyper focused on that already. Now all of a sudden, here comes this little blast in the past in the form of Jack Perry, and and as our good friend Sam Roberts always says, speculate wildly. What they wanted to break the internet even for a 10 or 15 minutes just to put that picture out there, then congratulations, job well done.
Yeah.
And Sam also says, everything counts. And to call back the history of those guys, and you said something interesting that, Tony, I want to get your thought on, like, who benefits from this, right? Of course, the Drew and Punk story benefits. That's the main focus of, like, why they put that up there, right?
Right.
I don't know does this benefit Jack Perry in any way? Because he's in a different company.
Well, I mean, look when AEW posted that backstage video, and we were all wondering why they did it because CM Punk's not even there. Well, now you have WWE. Maybe they were behind it, maybe not. But perception will tell you that, okay, Drew went on went into business for himself and posted that picture on Twitter with Jack Perry, and then it gets taken down, maybe that's to further the illusion that, okay, he wasn't supposed to do that, so take it down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So AEW and WWE, they both kind of done it. So
Yeah.
and to further Mongrovian Mike's comment about him being the internet troll of the year, talking about Drew McIntyre. Well, trolls, they don't care what bridge they're under when they do what they do. And Drew, he don't give a damn. Like he's been going just his social media is must see. You talk about Raw being must see television or SmackDown being must see television. Drew, his social media is must see social media. Like anytime he posts something, like I don't know if y'all saw, he was backstage or it was an empty arena or whatever, and he was in front of a Tron and he was talking to some guy, and he put up some image on the screen of CM Punk, and it was just a big old screen of CM Punk crying.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Drew he's just going next level with all this stuff, and it's amazing. And I said this on a previous show. I am totally on board with Drew McIntyre right now, his character and what he's doing. I've never seen Drew McIntyre this good. And this match at SummerSlam is going to be must see. I guarantee you. I cannot wait. And this isn't the only match we're going to see from CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. This is going to be the first of, I think, a few. So
yeah, and something Nick Nemeth said on the show yesterday. It is incredible what they've been able to do for 7 months or even longer, really. But since the Rumble and Drew getting screwed out of multiple championships, and they haven't had a match. Like,
right.
That's insane. Like to do that type of business without actually having to be, and we're all looking forward to the match, but people are like, I just want this to continue. I want more of this.
Right.
Yeah. So I want to expand on something Tony said about like, AEW releasing that backstage video. And now Drew is referencing Jack Perry. I know a lot of people have kind of like negative feelings towards when one company references the other company, but I think in cases like these, everything counts. Everybody knows what happens in the Punk situation in AEW. So Drew posting a picture of Jack Perry and kind of like tongue-in-cheek poking fun at that to poke the bear. I don't see anything wrong with that. And in AEW, we were very curious to see how they would handle when they posted the backstage video. And yes, I don't think it made the splash that they thought it would or whatever, but I think it did do a great job of helping that storyline, bringing Jack Perry back and bringing him into the fold with the Elite. That was just furthering that storyline into, how do we bring him back? So yeah, I just don't see, everything counts. And I don't think in this day and age that just because they're two different companies means that they have to, like, everything has to be completely separate and they're never allowed to, acknowledge or mention the other, especially when so many wrestlers, like we've said, know each other, have history together. There's a lot of backstory that can be brought into play with so many different instances.
Right.
So I don't see anything wrong with that, referencing something that happened previously in the other company.
Well, there's a couple of things. So a couple of things there. Like, first of all, it's not a shot at the company. They weren't making reference to the company. This is making reference to a personal issue between two wrestlers. So to me, that already is like, okay. But if you really think about it, not only does this further the Drew and CM Punk story, but now Jack Perry gets to go back to his fan base and say, see, even Drew McIntyre agrees with me.
Right.
So he's like, I have a cosign from that guy, and that guy's a somebody. And his character can now go back to AEW and make some veiled reference to the Scottish psychopath agreed with me. He'll do something to make it work, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, in this case, everybody wins.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's just helping the storyline on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
somebody else that we've been talking about this guy every week. Damn it, Joe Hendry is everywhere. Holy crap. So I don't know if you guys saw, of course, they did the big promo package, they did all the stuff on NXT. He may not have won the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, but boy, is NXT putting him over. Holy crap.
Boy, is he. Yeah.
So I saw not only is he going to be, they advertised him for next week's NXT to do a Joe Hendry concert. He was also a surprise at the Coconut Loop house show a couple of days ago.
Yes.
Like,
I saw that in Davenport, Florida.
Yeah. I'm like, he's literally showing up at the live events now for NXT.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I think that's awesome.
I just think it's super cool. And I think if anybody hasn't listened to all of the interviews with the TNA talent talking about how positive this relationship has been, because we know it works for NXT, but like the TNA people are saying, yeah, this is friggin' great. Everybody's super nice and we're working well together. And I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And I was perfectly okay with the fact that Joe Hendry didn't win the TNA championship. I wanted Nick to win anyway. I was so happy to see Nick win. And Joe Hendry is the one who pinned the champ. He didn't win, but he's the one who pinned the champ.
Yeah, he's the one who made lose.
Yeah, I think it's just it's pretty much a win-win all around.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. And also you're getting exposure for Joe Hendry even in the NFL. Like I saw a video on TikTok the other day of the New Orleans Saints player.
Yes.
Yeah. And he just started singing Joe Hendry's theme, and it was just amazing. Like Joe Hendry is getting some traction, and it's cool to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the metrics supported too. The metrics supported too, because that video that they talked about with Joe Hendry's entrance did like 18 million views. But the NFL video in the first couple hours did 1 million. I don't even know what it's at now, but it's insane.
And so I wanted to mention that also along the lines of wrestling, like we're seeing evidence that it's more and more mainstream. A lot of times when we're like, we all live in this pro wrestling bubble, so it's hard for us to kind of see from the outside what like regular people who don't know anything about wrestling or don't pay attention, what little snippets they see of pro wrestling things.
Yeah.
But just this week alone, we had that video of the New Orleans Saints player singing Joe Hendry's song as he's walking to the field. And we had Joe Burrow of the Cincinnati Bengals debuted a haircut, a dyed blonde haircut. And so I was sitting at work and I clicked on Twitter and I clicked on trending. And the first thing, number one on trending on Twitter was Joe Burrow. And then you know how it says like right underneath it in smaller print, it'll say like trending with or related topics. And right underneath it said, that's Cody Rhodes. I'm like, why is Cody Rhodes trending with Joe Burrow? So I clicked on it and of course I saw the picture and I was like, oh, okay, that's why. But it was still like, that was trending. And literally like, if you looked at the tweet, the NFL Twitter posted the picture of Joe Burrow, most of the comments are talking about Cody Rhodes.
Yeah,
of course.
That's how mainstream it is when you're getting posts that the NFL is putting out. Yeah, and everybody is relating it to something with wrestling.
Right. And one more point about mainstream. Thanks to Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, Macho Man Randy Savage, Ultimate Warrior. Since then to now, you've gotten all this mainstream, and especially the Attitude Era with Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock. You know, and all the, you know, Rock going to Hollywood, and then John Cena and The Miz and all that doing the movies and stuff. Wrestling is a part of pop culture, part of the mainstream, whether people want to admit it or not. They may not watch it. They may hate wrestling, but it's still part of pop culture and it's still part of the mainstream. And that's just the way it is.
And I think right now, obviously, there's, you know, everybody says that wrestling is like at a high. That, you know, there's a debate whether or not it's bigger than it was in the Attitude Era, but obviously there was a lull after the Attitude Era, and it's, you know, it kind of had started to risen, and right now it's on an all-time high.
Yeah.
And that's just absolutely evident with all these things that we're seeing, like that even people who don't watch wrestling, don't want to watch wrestling, aren't interested in it, they're seeing stuff about wrestling on
Absolutely.
their social media feeds, on TV, on whatever they watch, like
Yeah.
Chris Jericho making appearances on the Masked Singer, like all those kinds of things.
And thanks to channels like A&E doing those biographies and stuff that they do, thanks to those mainstream channels doing that, because that just furthers along the mainstream deal with wrestling. So there
Well,
you go.
there's also, I mean, there's no argument. There's literally no argument that wrestling isn't at its most financially successful. It's just not even close. I mean, you're talking about, okay, we're going to sell one of our shows we're going to sell for $5 billion to Netflix. Oh, we'll sell the other one for $4 billion. Our third brand, we'll sell that for maybe half a billion to $1 billion. So now they're doing all this stuff that's generating, they're now part of a $22 billion entertainment empire. And you look at things like Vince McMahon's biggest dream was to be on network television. That was the goal. That was the golden, the thing, the light at the end of the tunnel. Well, they did that. They went there, they did that, and they moved on. Now they're going to Netflix, which is even bigger, and 80% of the homes in the world. And then you're going, okay, well, WWE is now on the splash page for Peacock, which has like 60 million subscribers. You're looking at Netflix is now going to have WWE stuff all over it, so everybody's going to see it, and that just raises everybody else's stock. Like TNA is getting a lot more visibility just with this NXT relationship. But Deb, to your point,
and AEW too. AEW too. AEW was just at Comic-Con in San Diego. I'm seeing they're doing a lot of promotional stuff for, sports teams in whatever city they're in. They go to the sports games, they get shouted out, they do media appearances. Like they're kind of in that ball game too, just obviously on a slightly smaller scale.
Slightly, but yeah.
But yeah, they're out there still. They're not hidden by any means.
No. The other thing I think that's really, really important is ever since WrestleMania 1, and before that too, but really when they hit the big time, was the successful engagement of celebrities and how the celebrities brought more eyes to the product. And in recent years, we've seen more successful versions of that with Bad Bunny and Logan Paul, and all these people are coming in with major followings. So they're saying, hey, Mike Tyson, hey, wrestling's cool. Why don't you come over here? Like, if you think I'm cool, come check out this other thing I'm doing, right?
Yeah.
And to your point, with all the Hollywood stuff too, with The Rock and Cena and Batista and all those people, it's also much, much bigger. I think the visibility is bigger than it's ever been.
I agree.
I don't agree with people that say that the Attitude Era was more popular. It was more popular within a very specific group of people.
Sure.
This is global now. It's just
I agree.
And
I think there's a certain nostalgia factor with the Attitude Era that that was the era that so many wrestling fans grew up on or fell in love with wrestling. So there is a certain level of nostalgia and just kind of like sentimentality with it. But it definitely right now it's just on a whole other level.
Right.
Yeah. And
I mean the shows are much better now. Sorry, John.
No, just to Deb's point real quick, he talked about when the Attitude Era came to the close and there was that lull. And for a while, let's face it, there was about a good 20-year span that all there was WWE. Yeah, you had Ring of Honor making a little noise here and there. You had original TNA making some noise here and there.
But those were only for the hardcore wrestling fans that were really devoted. Exactly. That was for people like you that were super, super into wrestling. I didn't know about ROH or TNA back then. I didn't know. I watched Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah, but I don't think we're ever going to see a lull like that, just because there is just so much content and it's so ingrained into pop culture, into people's daily lives now, especially with the social media engagement and the accessibility of it and being in the markets that people are using to consume content. I don't
Mhm.
think we're ever, you know, it might, I still think it's going to continue to go up and up. There's no ceiling for this. At some point, may it plateau, but I don't think
Mhm.
we're going to see a drop anytime soon of like
I
we
agree.
saw before. Just because there's just
I agree.
way too much good stuff and way too much good stuff globally now that people have access to.
Right.
Yeah.
It all comes down to storytelling too. They've never done, and I mean across all the companies have never done a better job of telling stories. You look at your favorite soap opera that ran for 40 years with the same friggin' people and characters telling stories. So obviously it's
Mhm.
possible, right?
Exactly.
We're looking at the Bloodline and all these, like the Sting and Darby Allin story was several years. Like there's been stuff
Yeah.
throughout all the
Mhm.
companies where I don't buy into the whole like short-term memory bullshit. Like if the story is good enough, people will pay attention, and
Mhm.
for as long as you're telling a good story, they will watch.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I know we have a ton of stuff to talk about with WWE. I want to skip over that for a moment because I really think AEW did some really special stuff this week.
Yes.
I'm a huge fan. You guys know, everybody knows, like we were part of the NWA tapings through the first few sets of seasons, and like we got a chance to spend a lot of the time with the performers there. And while I certainly don't claim to be like friends with everybody, like we did get the chance to spend time with Camille and her family, and I was so excited to see her finally debut
Yes.
this week.
Yes.
She's awesome. Her presence, and she has been training her ass off. I mean, she obviously
Yeah.
trains with Tom Latimer. She trains with a lot of different people. I think she's going to be a huge addition, to, especially the spotlight they put her in. So, what did you guys think about the debut?
I loved it. I loved that it was a total surprise. I mean, there's obviously been social media, rumblings for a while that she was signed and when is she going to debut, but it was a total surprise that she debuted that night and at that moment. I don't think anybody, thought that she was going to come in as Mercedes enforcer, so to speak. Yeah, I loved it. I like being surprised like that, and it doesn't happen very often these days. I love the genuine surprise that we weren't expecting it, and then holy shit, that's Camille.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was great, and I don't know. I like what they're doing.
Well, we don't normally see surprise. If and again, a bit of kudos to AEW. We don't get those kind of surprises out of AEW. It's usually the big lights on, lights off. Coming soon. This, here was something completely cold. She came out. I popped just because I was like front row said, finally, Camille deserves to be on television weekly. She has for quite a while. This is, she, besides her physical attributes, this is a very talented and engaging wrestler. And for the fact that she's been on TV for so long, it's kind of a crime. But now, and does it fit with her, with Mercedes, with this? And I have been very critical of what Mercedes and AEW have been doing with her since her arrival there. But yes, this absolutely makes sense. Camille is absolutely ready to step into a main spotlight on a TV show.
Yeah.
To go a further a point that I heard on Busted Open, can't remember who said. I think it was Tommy or Matt Camp. I can't remember. Anyway, they had a problem with when they debuted Camille. Mercedes was wearing like these 5-inch or 6-inch heels and platform like heels. And so Camille, we all know Camille is huge. I mean, she's a huge presence.
They call her the Brick House for a reason.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, she is stacked. You know what I mean? And just an impressive looking character in the ring. And when you have someone that's equaling her height in the ring, that takes away from Camille's presence, the intimidating presence that you want from an enforcer. And so I got the point that they were trying to make on Busted Open. I mean, I kind of had a problem with that myself when I first saw it, but I loved when she debuted in the ring and the announcers were like, that's Camille.
Mhm.
You know, I would have loved to hear them say from the NWA. All they said was she's been here before, which she
Yeah.
has. But I
Mm.
would have loved to hear them say, put some credit on respect on her name, like what she has done. And maybe they will. I'm not taking anything away from AEW.
Yeah.
There's still time for them to do that. But I enjoyed that surprise. She darkened her hair, but she's still the brick house. And
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
loved it. I loved it. Now, I've seen in the live chat people talking about maybe they bring back Jamie Hayter to back up Britt. Where's Jamie Hayter been? I know she's injured, but we don't see anything of Jamie Hayter on social media at all. We
Nothing.
don't see
Yeah.
anything.
And
So
that's smart.
Yeah. That is
So,
smart.
Tony-
That is smart.
Tony, to your point, I think it's interesting that they had that conversation on Busted Open, and then yesterday, magically, this photo comes out showing a better angle
Right.
of the height difference.
Yes.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
Right.
And
They
But you're right.
listen.
So
They
Yeah.
listen.
I didn't think of that in the moment when it happened. That just didn't cross my mind. But when I heard them talk about that on Busted Open, I was like, oh yeah, you know, that is true. Like if you know, Mercedes wasn't wearing such high heels, then Camille would have looked, you know, obviously a lot taller and a lot bigger than her. And kind of to counterpoint what you said, Tony, about like what they said on commentary, you know, just kind of like the fan in me and, you know, the optimist in me kind of thinks that, okay, so maybe like when she debuted and on commentary, they said, oh, that's Camille. And they didn't really go into much detail about her history. You know, a little part of me wonders if, you know, maybe that'll get like fans who didn't know who she was going like, oh my God, she looks impressive. Who is that?
Mhm.
And then maybe this coming week on Dynamite, maybe that's when we get like, you know, Camille and Mercedes come out for a promo and she gets like a
Mhm.
formal introduction video
Yeah.
package, whatever it may be.
Right.
But, you know, I think a part of me doesn't think that we need all those details immediately. They can kind of, you know, give some time to introduce her.
It's
Yeah.
part of storytelling. It's part of storytelling.
Yeah.
They've got time to do it. Like I said, they can come out next week and put that. Okay, yes, Camille. She, you know, upon further review or more research on Camille, for those who didn't know, she is a one-time NWA Women's World Heavyweight Champion. You know, put some. You know, like I said, they can tell that story.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
still time to do that. So,
I don't think it necessarily has to be done
Yeah.
immediately on her surprise debut.
That's assuming that the owner and president of the NWA allows that footage to be used. That's
true.
gonna be
true.
That's very, very
So-
true. Yes.
So who's to
Yeah.
say?
Well,
It's a maybe.
Yeah.
maybe
So-
maybe TK goes in his wallet and buys the entire Smashing Pumpkins catalog and say, now what? Just say it could happen. We all know Tony has deep pockets, and that's no
Tonight on Dynasty.
Hey, yes.
Oh my God, they're
While
playing Bullet
we're-
with butterfly wings.
While we're on the subject of AEW, something I wanted to kind of bring up and get y'all's opinion on. It struck me Thursday listening to Busted Open. Well, first Wednesday night on After Dark, and then also on Thursday. And it's something I've been thinking about for a few weeks now. Every week on Busted Open and on After Dark, we hear callers talking about, you know, I was maybe a little soured on AEW. Maybe, you know, I wasn't thrilled about watching, but I tuned in or I went to the show and it was amazing. It was the funnest show I've ever been to. I love the show. It's so great. And we keep hearing this like week after week of people saying, you know, they were hesitant to watch AEW or they were hesitant to actually go to the show, but ended up absolutely loving it.
Right.
And to me, it kind of feels like it's this weird lingering thing from all the negativity that happened in AEW, which seems to be behind us for the most part. There hasn't been any drama, any ridiculousness in a while. The shows have, and most people will say the shows have been steadily increasing as far as quality, as far as people enjoying the show, the storylines, even the women's division. I feel like it's this lingering thing where there's a lot of people out there that are almost like they don't want to admit that they like AEW because there's this social media attitude towards AEW.
Mm-hmm.
And they maybe don't want to admit that they enjoyed the show, or they're like, well, everybody I see online talks so bad about it, so I didn't know if I should watch it, but I tuned in and I really liked it.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's a
So
common
I know
thing.
Tony also, right? Tony also had a thought about that too. I know we were
First of all, my camera's a bitch because it's got me fuzzy.
Come on.
But anyway, I wanted to be.
Wait,
There we go. There you go.
Oh,
We got you.
Oh, I just reached for my glasses.
There we go. Okay, so it's like it's the same thing with Nickelback, right? Nickelback puts out hit after hit after hit after hit, but people for some reason hate Nickelback, and they are ashamed to say that they love Nickelback. I think Nickelback's a good band. I've seen him live in concert.
So have I.
But there's just this aura of people, and there's a documentary on Netflix that kind of goes further into what I'm talking about. But AEW is kind of fallen, in my opinion. AEW is kind of fallen into that Nickelback category where people are ashamed to admit that they enjoy AEW, and with all the negative comments around AEW with the CM Punk stuff that happened, with the officiating that happens every week, and Bully goes on and on and on about it on Busted Open and on Busted Open After Dark, which he's right about, but there's just a section of fans that can't like both products for what they are. WWE, there's nothing that's going to top WWE. They've continued to do what they do, and they're not worried about anybody else. AEW, for some reason, it's like it's a tribalism, right? Why can't you just enjoy it for what it is? And it's the same thing with kind of, Nickelback. And I thought it was kind of a cool comparison in my mind anyway, of people that are ashamed, and kind of Creed in a way too. And Mongrovian, I'm waiting on him to get triggered on that comment. But anyway,
Creed is another thing. Creed. Okay. So Creed is a whole other thing, because my thing with Creed is, the band Alter Bridge, right? Which is basically Creed with a different singer. Alter Bridge is fantastic.
Yes.
It's
Creed,
a better singer. It's a better singer.
It's the difference in the singer. It's not the band.
I agree.
It's just the singer.
Yeah.
But that's my argument on the topic.
Yeah.
But I also wanted to say, like, along those lines of, like, the social media kind of negativity and how it kind of spirals out of control. There's so many, and I don't get involved in social media discussions for the most part anymore, but there's so many people online, and this goes both sides, WWE and AEW, it's all the same. There's so many people, like, their entire social media presence is about trash talking a certain company. Like, and I know Bully tends to argue with these certain people online a lot. There's people online where you, like, if you click on their profile, every single post, every single comment or whatever that they post is just specifically talking badly about one of the shows. And, like, you don't even know, like, okay, well, what do you like? Like, they're not even posting anything about stuff that they like, sharing stuff that they enjoyed, sharing clips that they love. They're not even talking about stuff that they loved. All they're doing is just constantly talking about or making fun of or mocking what they don't like. And obviously, there is that on both anti-WWE and anti-AEW. But I think, like, with AEW, it's kind of this lingering thing from all the stuff that happened with Punk, which, as far as I'm concerned, that's old news. Like, it was taken care of. He's moved on. He's obviously happier in a better personal situation. The Elite have their storyline, which is going pretty well right now. Like, the whole thing is just done. So why are people still, like, harping on it as evidence of AEW is burning down. Like it seems like every day AEW is burning down
because it's a trigger.
Well,
Right.
there's a couple things to what you said. First of all, I looked the other day during Dynamite, and there was like 11,000 people tweeting about it. There's 700,000 people watching a show, and like 1% are tweeting about it. So
Mhm.
the people on social
Right.
media are a very small minority of people actually consuming the product.
Mhm.
So to say that they're representative of whether people like or dislike the product isn't true. You can look at trends in viewership, and I know that they've really changed the way that they do the Nielsen ratings because they include streaming now. So it is a more
Yeah.
accurate. It's a little more accurate with all that stuff. So when you
Yeah,
see it
YouTube
trending up, you
TV
go,
included.
more people are starting to watch it. That's great.
Yep.
Attendance at the live events is starting to go up. It's not huge, but it's trending in the right direction. So to your point, it is getting better. They are building stories, and I like what Steve says too. And I 100% agree that Will Ospreay I've been saying it forever. It was one of the best signings they've done. He is a massive star. He's good at everything. He can tell stories. He's a good guy, a bad guy. Whatever you want him to do, he can do. It's really, really cool to see what he's doing over there.
Yes.
But as a fan of women's wrestling, I think that the Toni Storm and Mariah May story is fantastic. The stuff they did at Comic-Con was amazing.
Mhm.
Mercedes and Camille now with Britt, and how's that going to go? You've got two very big stories. You've got Deanna and Thunder is sort of like a B story right now. When was the last time AEW that you had three compelling women's stories going on at the same time?
Exactly.
So
And I think
it's a
things
good
like
thing.
that go under the radar. Like it's happening, but I don't think people are really notice that the women's division and the storylines in the women's division are really killing it right now. I think that's kind of going under the radar for most people. And I think a lot of AEW storylines really go under the radar for most people. I just think like a lot of people like aren't really paying attention enough. I don't know how else to describe it.
I will say this. I'm a WWE guy, and Toni Storm might be one of my absolute favorite characters on TV right now.
Yeah.
She's amazing. Everything she does is wildly entertaining. Like you stop whatever you're doing because you have to see it. I don't care if it's 20 seconds backstage. You have to pay attention to what she's doing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
speaking
and
of
John Bay says, and Statlander and Willow, you know, that storyline has been kind of bubbling under the surface for a little while now. So things are really happening, and I think like these are kind of, in a way, slow moving storylines, which is what we want, right? We don't want storylines to be like 2 weeks and done. So these storylines that kind of build for months, people don't notice it.
And there's one more too that I think I read earlier today, and someone in the chat, or maybe you guys can keep me honest, but I believe Athena is on her way to being the longest reigning Ring of Honor champion of all time, male or female, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Athena is killing it on Ring of Honor. I think me and John are the only ones who watch Ring of Honor every week. But Athena is killing it.
Yes. She is on track right now. She is at 500 and something days as the women's Ring of Honor Women's World Champion, and on track to be the all-time surpassing Samoa Joe, who was 634 days as the Ring of Honor Heavyweight Champion.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think she can do it.
And the storyline with Athena and Billy Starks has been amazing for those of us who do watch Ring of Honor. Like Athena and Billy Starks have done a great job with their storyline. And you know, last night on Death Before Dishonor, we saw the match against Queen Aminata, and the storyline with Athena and Queen Aminata has been really good. I actually really laughed when Athena called Queen Aminata a lot lizard, which is pretty funny.
Yeah, her and Red Velvet. And real quick, I don't like to give spoilers. They did. Yeah. Queen Aminata and Red Velvet, lot lizards.
And Red Velvet. Don't want to leave her out. Yeah.
Although, quick shout out to Red Velvet, your new Ring of Honor Women's Television Champion, who defeated Billy Starks last night. I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna go on my Ring of Honor rant. I'm not gonna go on my Ring of Honor rant. I'm not gonna go on my Ring of Honor. I am not gonna let the. I normally let the hate flow because I always use violence, but not tonight.
We know, John. We know. We get it.
You know you want to.
I do, absolutely do, but we ain't got the time. For and
Wow, now you're concerned about time.
Oh.
Jeez.
see, just when you think you got me figured out, this when you think you have all. I change the questions. All right, just before Dishonor, granted, it's a big deal for Ring of Honor, and those of us that watch have had plenty of reason to watch. But for this complete and utter lack of promotion that was done for this,
Yeah.
You didn't have your main event, which turned out being Mark Briscoe and Roderick Strong for the heavyweight championship, which was a fantastic match. And shout out to Sussex County Chicken and Still. But that match wasn't decided and even put on anything till 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
They were building with Athena and Queen Aminata and Red Velvet, but this is Ring of Honor is an afterthought to AEW, and it's terribly unfair because there are fantastic people there putting on incredible matches. Layla Hirsch and Diamante had a Texas street fight last night that I will put up against any men's street fight, no holds barred, hardcore match anywhere. Those two young ladies beat the hell out of each other and used every gimmick and bled and everything else. It was a fantastic match. But nobody's probably going to know about it. It'll be a clip somewhere, and that's it. And to me, I'm sorry, that's just very, very, it's very disheartening and very sad, especially given the high hopes we had. When
you're right. I do think, however, that they are in the process of getting things set up for Ring of Honor to be more on its own. Like I think I saw something that they're, gonna start doing like more of a regular taping schedule separate from the AEW shows. Their own like house shows or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I do think they're starting to put things in place to help Ring of Honor be more independent from AEW.
Oh, and just one other quick thing, just real quick. John Bay, GFY. Don't you ever tell me when my time is up. I have the microphone. So GFY. Don't think I forgot. We'll start the new streak tonight. GFY. Don't you ever tell me that again.
I was hoping you would see that. Yes. I was hoping. Yes. Okay.
Ever. How dare you?
So this is an interesting thing that Seth mentions too, that Tony Khan did say that the media rights deal, he's trying to include Ring of Honor as part of the package for more visibility. So it sounds like a step in the right direction. Yeah, it's promising. Yeah. So for sure. Okay, folks, we're at the top of the hour. I know everybody wants to go watch Collision and whatever else you watch. I'm pretty sure there's a GCW show on somewhere. There's always a GCW show on somewhere.
I just have something real quick. I believe there is, but more importantly, we want to talk about Forbidden Doors and all this. Josh Barnett's Bloodsport from Brooklyn, New York, tomorrow night. And if you happen to check out on social media or anything, some of the names on that card, it kind of looks like partially a WWE house show. You have the Creed brothers, Shayna Baszler, Charlie Dempsey. They're all coming in to work for the War Master, and it's fantastic. And Bloodsport are very different than any other wrestling you watch. So it's on Triller TV. It is a pay-per-view, but if you subscribe like I do for $5 a month, it's included because it's on Triller Plus. Absolutely check it out because they're always very entertaining and interesting shows to watch.
They're very fun shows.
I want to throw a fantasy booking idea at you, John. So I'm a big fan of Bloodsport. I haven't gotten to see one live yet, but I watched them all. I would love to see Josh Barnett show up in an NXT Underground to coach somebody, whether it's Lola Vice or Shayna Baszler. I just want to see him on NXT TV.
Yes, I think that would be a very interesting angle because they absolutely have the talent in NXT to go that route and legitimately sell it and everything else. And you can talk about this person has trained and this and that. But you got Josh Barnett and his credentials and everything come in and say, hey, you're my person, you're my guy, you're my girl. We're gonna do this. That's a whole that's credibility, and that is worth every bit of it. And hopefully we do see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. All right, folks.
Real quick before we finish, sorry, Collision's just starting right now, and I wanted to mention they're running out of the esports arena right now, right next to AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoy the look of the shows that they've done at this place. It seems to be a great crowd. I think it's a little bit smaller venue than what they typically go in, but it looks great. So I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, I think it's the residency idea is really interesting because look at what they've done with NXT. I mean, they've done that over the years, having people like as a dedicated audience, especially people that want to make it feel special. You know, like I mentioned earlier, we were in the GPB studio, so you kind of feel like you're part of something special as you're attending these shows. So yeah, I agree. All right, Deb, where can people find you?
As always, at That's So Debonair on the Twitter machine and the Instagram. And if you follow me on Instagram, you see a little bit more of my personal life, whereas on Twitter, it's pretty much just wrestling stuff. Happy wrestling.
Very cool. Tony?
Well, they generally knocked out my camera, I guess. So anyway,
them damn Duke boys.
Them damn dirty Duke boys. So you can follow me at Tony Justice AJFA. And if you're a Metallica fan, you know that today, 40 years ago, they released Ride the Lightning. Today is the 40-year anniversary of Ride the Lightning. So you can end in the live chat telling us your favorite Metallica song on Ride the Lightning. But anyway, if you're a Metallica fan, you know what AJFA means. Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, John.
You can, of course, get with me at Twisted Metal Fab on the Twitter and the Instagram, and follow the exploits of the new and improved 3.0 version of the most dangerous weapon in professional wrestling. Of course, I'm talking about AK9K, the Ass Kicker 9000, that you can keep up with him on Instagram at Ass Kicker 9K.
Nice. You can find me at PW Front Row across all the socials. You can find us at Nation's Corner on X/Twitter and The Nation's Corner on all other socials. Next weekend is SummerSlam. It's going to be super fun. We didn't even talk about this, but I'm pretty sure we're going to start early next week because of the pre-show and all the stuff that's going on, right? So watch for the socials for an update.
Could be an interesting wrinkle happening next week for the show.
Yeah.
How about Nation's Corner show with a live studio audience?
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Interesting. All right, folks. Thanks everybody for joining. Enjoy your night. Have a great weekend. See y'all next week. Later.